I know that everybody's thoughts are on the tragic events of the fire and the loss of a young life. And everybody in the city and everybody in the city of Louisiana, I know their hearts go out to this family. People want answers now about how this happened. And people have a right to those answers. But more importantly, we owe it to the fire victims to be fair and accurate. And therefore, it has been the advice of the insurance company's lawyer, and that's advice that I join in and given the city, to withhold public comment about the fire and the investigation until the multiple investigations that are now underway are concluded and all the evidence is in. So I'm asking the citizens and the press and everybody else for patience to consider the larger questions that might be involved here and let the investigation answer that. And I just ask that you consider this one question. What would we be saying if emergency personnel stood by and allowed a distraught parent to enter a fully engulfed building without protective gear and breathing equipment, and we ended up with 2 funerals instead of 1? So please, we ask for your patience. Let these investigations conclude. Thank you.
Okay, all of you got the minutes from last month. Is there any corrections or additions? If not, we stand approved. Any old business before the council? Bart.
Pass those around. I'd like to discuss the Board of Adjustment. I'd like to do it in as friendly as possible a way. Our state statute 89080 and our ordinance, which mirrors it 405030, establish, describe, and require a Board of Adjustments. From my research, which I'm passing around and I'll explain, we've been without a Board of Adjustments president or an accurate membership count for 7 months. I think that is rather extreme. I understand that there's a recollection that something happened somewhere that had some special case, but we cannot document that. We cannot find that. The records show what would be expected, no exception. And I think regardless of the outcome, we need to resolve this and give clarity and definition to our Board of Adjustment so they can act with the confidence that people expect. If there's a question about the membership, we need to resolve that definitively. And you know, back in August, you said it would be on the September agenda. You know, here we are. We still haven't answered it. What I did was I got all of our minutes, all of them, back to 2000. These are all in PDF format, and Adobe Acrobat Pro has a very sophisticated search functionality, which you know, does everything down to stimming. Stimming's where it very intelligently looks for forms of words, etc., in a Boolean search. I did a number of searches. The first search I did was for the term Board of Adjustments, 118 documents, 190 instances. None of those 470 references referenced Porter Elliott's appointment other than a thank you. I did an appointment search, 66 documents, 204 instances. There were 2 that are relevant. One, and both of them are the ones we expect. March 11th, 2002, he's appointed to a 5-year term. April 14th, 2008, he's appointed to a 5-year term. That's it. I did a case-insensitive Boolean stimming search for appoint and Elliott and Board of Adjustment. 6 documents, 46 instances. Same result. Another one that I've written there, 6 documents with 46 instances, exactly the same return on this. I don't know how we could do a more thorough search all the way back to 2000 than than what this represents. And I think that we need to move forward in some fashion. So I'm asking the council, I'm asking the administration to expedite a decision, make a recommendation, move us forward, solve this problem. There's an associated problem which we could do the same thing with regarding Kelly Henderson's status. According to our clerk who keeps these records, Kelly Henderson is still on the board, but he was not actually, he wasn't aware of meetings, et cetera, last year. I think that kind of a lack of clarity produces a question about the validity of everything that the Board of Adjustment has done. And there's been some significant things that the Board of Adjustments has addressed in the last 2 years. So I'm asking the administration to move on this quickly. Let's get this, whatever direction you want to take it, but let's get it defined so we're not without an answer.
All right. Next month, I will make a recommendation to appoint somebody to that board.
Wonderful.
And being as we brought up the Board of Variance, the Board of Adjustment, you have Porter Elliott standing here, and he gave me his records that he kept each and every year for the whole time he was there. They don't coincide with the city's records at all.
Oh, that's a pretty big problem.
That is a problem, but in the same token, and I say this with tongue in cheek, I've looked at his records, I have them upstairs. I have the ones that we have at City Hall. And Mr. Jenner wrote a letter to you and to the rest of the council saying that Porter was ported to this, but no term was, or no position was certified, or like he was appointed to Board of Adjustment. Actually, the Board of Adjustment elects their own chairperson.
Correct.
We don't, we just appoint them to the Board of Adjustment. And his records doesn't confirm or coincide with the records we have at City Hall.
Porter's don't. I understand that.
They do not. And the man's been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah.
A long time. And there's nobody else that can touch him on the Board of Adjustment as far as knowing the laws and what they can and can't do, in my opinion. And if I'm to reappoint somebody for that position, I will bring Porter Elliott back.
That's
the next
fine,
month.
but let's get that done because
Okay.
we've been without for 7 months.
I will do that
Okay.
next month.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, may I speak?
Yes, you can.
This thing about the Board of Adjustment, problems we have. Like I said, I gave Tom the records I kept from his appointment of me back when I got off the road in 2002. Mr. Jenny and Sharon Kokoris gave you all a list of who they thought was on the Board of Adjustment, which consisted of 5 or 6 active members. The state of Missouri only gives you 5 members, and I cannot account for how Sharon keeps city records. I only keep Board of Adjustment records. The ones I gave Tom is the ones that I have. And we cannot have 6 active members. We cannot have 2 members serving the same term. And that is what Mr. Jenny and Sharon Forrest gave to you. That is an illegal and unlawful board. So I really don't care. Like Tom said, I've been doing this for 40 years. If you don't want me to do it anymore, I'll go home and go fishing.
At this point, I don't care who does it. And
As long as we have
I
a-
completely agree with
I
all.
agree with you
just as-
that
just-
we need a Board of
Yeah.
Adjustment to
Yeah.
say that we have
If I can finish,
this board and this
Porter.
board only.
Yeah.
Porter's got the floor, Bart. You need
I just asked for it.
Yeah.
But I'm done. Go ahead, Bart.
Okay, now you can have it.
I don't object to anything that you said about this list being inconsistent with what the state statute
Right.
provides. I want to point out that this is an administrative bump.
Right.
It needs to be resolved. I don't care that it happened. I care that it's been 7 months and we haven't resolved it. So let's get it resolved. If
And
that's you,
like
if that's
you, my-
whoever, let's get it resolved so we can act with confidence that we have a Board of Adjustment.
My concern is not for 203 South Third Street. My concern is the citizens out there do not have a Board of Adjustment.
Exactly my point. I agree. We need to
You
have
will have-
confidence in our Board of Adjustment.
I will make the appointment next month.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we now open the council to anybody in the audience that would like to address the council may do so at this time.
I would like to thank the city for fixing a parking space right over here. A lady fell over there, what, a week or so ago? And I told you guys, I told Tom, I told Monroe, and I told Jim, and yesterday, and I come and seen it was fixed today. So I thank you for the ladies over there.
Okay. David?
Hey.
Yeah, I'd like to address the council.
Can you state
You.
your name for the record, please?
Yeah, my name's Dave Miner. On a letter to the editor that I wrote a while back. First off, I didn't do this to step on anybody's toes or anything like that. What I'm trying to do here is to bring you people together, you know, before something really bad happens to this town. This town's dying, okay? It's got nothing. But the town's got potential. And when I look around, what I see here, I don't see rocket scientists, I don't see professors or anything like that. I see shrewd businessmen. And I see people that can turn some revenue for this town. And that's what this town needs, is revenue. More revenue. And what it needs is for you guys to come together and think about the most key important players in this whole game. And that's these taxpayers. And once you come together, you're going to have something going on. What it takes is imagination. I mean, I'm a visionary, okay? And I hate to use, you know, famous quotes from famous people. But Martin Luther King said, I have a vision. I have a dream. And this town right here, it could be a really, you know, it could be a nice town. It could have things going on in the summer and in the winter, and that's revenue for the town. And if we don't start doing something, it's going to be like Clarksville. You ever drive through Clarksville? It's dead. I'm sorry, they're trying, but it's dead. I don't want to see it happen to this town. This town, it can be a booming town. This could be a tourist town. And I'm sure that the taxpayers would hate to see their money wasted on a town that's going to die. And that's all I got to say. All right? I'm sorry.
Thank you, David. Anybody else that'd like to address the council may do so at this time. If not, we'll go on with our agenda.
Mr. Mayor. Can I just take a few minutes? My name is Joel Schultz, S-H-U-L-T-S.
Mr. Schultz, you have 5 minutes.
All right. I won't take that long. First of all, thank you for your service. I appreciate the challenges that you face as elected officials in a community. I appreciate this open opportunity to speak. Probably nothing more annoying than somebody from out of town coming in to talk about a local issue. I came from Colorado to speak on this just very briefly. But the fatal fire and the response to the first responders is now beyond a local issue. I've certainly read it in my paper back in Colorado and on some other places, so it has become a national issue. I just wanted to state that the public has a right to know more about this tragic incident. It is imperative for the sake of Riley and all who wanted more than anything to rescue him that the whole account be as truthful as possible. Up until now, the public and the media have not had access to any narrative other than Cop Stun's dad. That narrative is not entirely accurate, and the first responders, including Sergeant Jeff Saloy of the Louisiana Police Department, have a right to have their voices heard as well. Police officers are given tremendous authority, responsibility, and power over the lives of others, but ironically, they have little power over their own lives at times like these. Sergeant Saloy has been unable to respond to the wildly damaging and malicious criticisms generated by this heart-wrenching event. And much of that criticism, of course, is coming from all across the nation. With the barest of information, a public that seems ready and willing to make instant assumptions of incompetence, arrogance, and malice on the part of our public servants and law enforcement has heaped scorn on this officer and his colleagues. Along with some statements of support, including mine, Sergeant Saloy has been subjected to death threats and other personal and career-threatening malicious commentary. It is fundamentally unfair and unjust that no one has stepped up to publicly call for the common decency of withholding judgment until the facts are in. Counsel, I appreciate your position and the points that you made tonight. My hope is that a statement from the city can be made as expeditiously as possible, and that the final outcome, which I believe will be one of vindication, will be front page news all over the country like the initial incident was. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else would like to address council? If not, we'll go on. Committee reports, reading petitions, I don't have any. Committee reports, we'll go with finance.
Okay, we called the Finance Committee meeting to order at 5:30, 3 members present. I made a motion to take the full council paying warrants 096 through 104-213 in the amount of $233,316.75. So now I would make a motion to full council that we pay the warrants 096 through 104-2013.
I second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman? Mr. Niedner?
Yes?
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Kokora stated that we have disbursements for Klinger and Associates in the amount of $16,341.22 and Lehman Construction LLC for $371,037.15. I make a motion that we pay Klinger and Associates and Lehman Construction $371,378.37.
Read that number again.
The total, $371,378.37.
Mine says 387.
Mine says
Mine
78.
says 78.
Mine says 78.
Do we have the amount of those two bills?
Yeah.
I might have them in my finance. It's 387,000, no, let's see. Oh, I see what she did. That's just Lehman.
Oh, right.
She missed the total.
My mistake. The total is $387,378.37.
So to be clear, this is a motion to pay a bill to Klinger and Lehman that total $387,378.37.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
All those in favor?
All those in favor, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Niedner?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Jenny stated that we owe Klinger and Associates a bill for cryptosporidium for $2,000. I make a motion that we pay Klinger for the cryptosporidium $2,000.
I second that motion.
Motion made and second, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Niedner,
Yes.
Mr. Stevens,
Yay.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Wood,
Yes.
Mr. Jennings stated that as a change order number 4 for the wastewater plant, and these changes would be for the benefit of more flood protection for the wastewater plant. The cost of these 4 changes would be $14,645.72. I make a motion that we pay the change order number 4 in the amount of $14,645.72.
I'll second that motion.
Motion. Okay, motion made, second, discussion.
That's pretty broad, flood protection, what do you do?
Well, if you want me to read all 4 of them, I can.
No, I wanna know what they're, where they flood protection, I just wanna know what they're doing with this $14,000.
There was 3 recommendations made by city staff and 1 from the engineering firm. One of our, they wanted to, we reviewed the piping of the effluent from the facility and determined to make it more flood-proof, we needed to eliminate some manholes and go with mechanical joint and fittings. This was done to eliminate potential sources of river water into the piping if the manholes were to be overtopped during an extreme high flood event. The resulting cost for this increase is $5,072.90.
What was that now? River water getting into a pipe?
Getting into the manholes.
Manholes down, right down there, if you look at them, Highway
So
79.
they're gonna raise those manholes?
No,
It puts piping into it to make it more flood-proof, and mechanical joint piping and fittings.
In other words, if they put the pipe in, they could actually do away with the manhole.
No.
The manhole stays,
They're
but
just
it raises the elevation.
I mean, I understand that it's helpful to understand these things, but are we really I mean, these are recommendations made by the people who are there on the site that indicate this would be a good thing to do. And one recommendation that is being made by the engineers that this would be a good thing to do. Are we really suggesting that somehow, and that Bob has reviewed as our city administrator, is suggesting we should do this? Are we concerned that these are not reasonable things to do?
I don't know. I'm asking questions.
Okay.
Do you have any more questions?
That's 5,000 of 14.
Yeah.
All right, city staff identified a painted steel railing in poor condition outside the existing blower room. Because the facility will be pretty much new when the project is done, this railing should probably be replaced with an aluminum railing. The railing will be safer, fit in with the new facility, and be low maintenance. The resulting cost for this work is $1,775.40. Number 3, city staff.
That has nothing to do with flood.
I agree.
City staff identified a need to add elbows to a T on the new blower inlet. These elbows serve 2 functions. They keep rain from entering the blower inlet, and 2, they make the inlet screen more accessible for city staff to clean, repair, or replace in the future. The resulting cost for this work is an increase of $3,560.60.
Again, that's nothing to do with flood.
I'm just reading to you what
No,
Klinger and
go ahead.
Associates.
Don't get mad at me, I'm just voicing what my opinion here. I got a right to do that. I'm a
Yes,
councilman.
sir, you do. Let me read the whole entire. City staff has identified problems with some minor flooding inside the flood wall during extreme flood events or when the existing sump pump fails. The basement is being ventilated for safety reasons as part of this project. The vents are below the main floor level of the building, but barely above the ground on the outside. Due to the ventilation requirements, the vents were sized appropriately and have to be located where we propose them to be located.
Unfortunately, this only puts the vent opening about 1 inch above the ground outside. This leaves little margin for failure of the sump pumps or interior flooding, as virtually any interior flooding will flood the basement of the building and damage the raw sewage pumps that pump all wastewater through the treatment plant. In order to address the concern of potential flooding, a concrete wall around these vent openings and louvers needs to be built up to the main floor elevation. The rain hood on one of the vent openings also needs to be modified to fit inside the wall. The resulting cost for this work is $4,236.82. These are all legitimate change order items because they were not included in the contract. Most of this change order is a result of a reasonable attempt to improve the project and eliminate future concerns with flooding. I want to stress to you all that this is one of the reasons we have contingency funds built into the project funding. Contingency funds are included in project funding to have funds available for unseen expenses, project enhancements, or address issues that cannot be fully worked out during the design phase of a project. Without this contingency fund, the city would have to pay for this directly out of its utility accounts. This project has $145,000 of contingency funds committed to it, of which we have used $27,511.74 to date. The city has already closed the loan and is repaying it based on these funds being spent already. To maximize the use of funding to the city's benefit, we need to prudently use some of these funds. The proposed change order is the lowest cost option to provide the necessary improvements.
So, something like 90, under 9,300 is actually for flood, the other 5,000 is for something else. We were told, and the minutes read here, for flood proofing the wastewater plant. Well, 2 of those was flood proofing, 2 of what? Is this one of the things you got both, you can't take them 2 out?
If that's what the council wants to
From
change.
my perspective, as Mark Ross said, if you don't utilize these funds,
I understand that, but he also said that you gave us 4 different things there to flood proof the wastewater plant. 2 of them is flood proofing, 2 of them are not. So that's the way it should have read in the minutes, not all of them flood proof, because 2 of them are not.
Right.
okay,
Okay, so to facilitate moving forward, we've identified that. So if you'd like to break those out in terms of this motion, you could
you
make a
can't do
motion.
that on a change order.
No,
Is this one change order for all 4 things?
You
One change
cannot.
order for all
I thought this
4
was
things.
4 requests.
You know, on the contingency funding, what they said was it's for flood and improvements. We have 147,000 that they've already rolled into this loan.
But
And I'm
let's be,
agreeing with what they said. Let me have my say. The railing, if you went down and looked at it, it's old steel railing of
I
pipe.
understand that, Tom, and I completely agree,
and-
except that is not flood, and we were told this was.
I understand that, but you're nitpicking on words
No,
now.
no, he's talking about meaning. Because I was ready to move forward on the recommendation that this was about
Okay,
flooding,
But when
and
he
2 of these
read
things
the
are not.
contingency to you.
Just now, not when it was
Right, but
presented.
it says, and he asked to read it when we first started out and said no. Nobody wanted it when it first started.
Nobody brought it up in
That's
finance.
correct. And the thing about it is, the aluminum handrail would be an improvement. The vents coming up on the vent pipes, that's an improvement, and for flood, because it's so it's on ground level. I agree with Monroe That's what it should have specified, it just exactly the way we're talking.
And I'd be happy to change the minutes to reflect that.
Well, don't change the minutes. The minutes should reflect what was accurately said. What we're finding is a problem now, and these minutes need to reflect, we found this problem, we've addressed it. I have not heard Monroe say that he has an objection to these other two items. He has an objection to the fact that that these two items were presented as flood.
Right.
So we've acknowledged that, we've identified it. Now we understand that this change order is not just for the flood. The change order is for, most of it is for the flood by a small margin, and some of it is for these two other items, which, in my opinion,
Two-thirds of it.
so a third of it is for these two items, this railing that is going to need to be replaced at some point anyway, it sounds like, and something that sounds like it makes a lot of sense to do anyway. So in terms of approving these change orders, it doesn't sway my position that we should do it. I am glad we found that there was, these two things were not for flood, that we've correctly identified that, and that can be reflected in these minutes. So I don't know that we need to amend a motion on the floor to approve this change order.
No, you're going to put a motion on in the minutes.
Could this not have been solved by giving us a copy of this document? I would have had a
I can
chance.
understand that, but it's after the fact now.
Yeah, I realize that. I would have been certainly much more prepared for my vote.
You made the motion, did you? Who made the motion? Sonny made the motion, you seconded?
I second it.
Okay.
Mr. Elliott?
No.
Mr.
I
Hoffman?
really didn't want to call for that.
I'm sorry.
We're in discussion. I was wanting to know if Mr. Neener or Sonny wanted to withdraw their.
I'll withdraw if Sonny will rephrase it, that this is not just for flood, that this is for flood.
Floodproofing and improvements. Can we do that?
So it's an amendment to
If
the
that-
motion.
If that is acceptable, I'll withdraw the motion.
You can amend your motion.
Or, well,
No, it wasn't, it was in discussion, I didn't
we
call for
could
roll
amend
count.
it to,
No, she don't call for roll count, I do.
we can amend the motion to say for flood control and improvements. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I will second that amended motion.
How much of it is going where?
I think you just
Well,
said
you
two-thirds,
said
about two-thirds is going
About
to flood.
2/3 for flood and 1/3 for improvements. We could get the exact number.
We've watered it. Let's go.
Okay, motion made and seconded, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Niebner?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Okay,
Okay. Ms. Kokor stated that the insurance committee met to discuss renewing our insurance with Blue Cross or to go through United Healthcare. Blue Cross is giving the groups the opportunity to renew on December 1st with a rate increase of 4.3%. If we wait until May to renew, the increase could be as much as 50%. They also had a bid from United Healthcare, which is about $100 a month less than Blue Cross. We should know by the end of this week the exact figure. The insurance committee would like to go with United Healthcare if the figures come in less than Blue Cross. So I would make a motion to full council that the insurance committee be allowed to choose United Healthcare if the cost is less than Blue Cross.
Couldn't you do that whenever they?
when we get to the point, let me interrupt both of you a minute. We get to the point of discussion, I will let you address the council. Go ahead, Monroe.
And I have a discussion point as well, if we get a second.
We need a second before we can discuss.
Is that what you-
Wait on a second.
Okay, so discussion.
Discussion?
Well, I was just wondering if we shouldn't wait till we know what we're voting, that we are, they got a right to check on any insurance policy they want without our giving them that permission. I think we need to wait and see what their results are and then consider it.
It sounded to me like there was a time frame problem in doing that.
To meet
Unless
the
you want to meet
December 1st
specifically for that purpose.
deadline, we don't have a lot of time to do this, to take advantage of the December 1st renewal.
So we're giving them permission to go with
The lowest price is what the motion states, but I do have a discussion point on that.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Okay.
So choosing the insurance is usually a bid process, correct? And I'm not sure that what we're doing represents that. I mean, we're not putting it out to bid, we're saying we're going to sign with someone without going through a bid process. So what I want, of course, is the best value. I want to accommodate what the employees are looking to have. I want to pay the lowest price, and I want to do that correctly.
With the most coverage.
Right, so I'm not sure that we're following appropriate rules, and I don't have the expertise to know.
I thought this was a bid.
Well, but we have two candidates, right? Did it go out for general bid? Did everybody get a chance to bid? Is that even
I'm
required?
Sure they did, yes. The committee, I'll let Beth speak and then I'll tell you about the committee. Go ahead.
I'm the current Anthem broker, and what I brought was not a bid. It was an offer of early renewal to avoid the mandates set forth in the Affordable Care Act, which is going to raise small group rates from 35 to 50%. I was unaware that the city wanted to shop. I wasn't told, or I could have gotten bids from United Healthcare, Aetna, Coventry. I have license with all the companies, and I'm able to write through all of them. If that's what they had wanted, I would have liked to have known so that I could also have provided quotes. But I just brought an offer of early renewal. It was not a bid.
Right. So what's appropriate? I mean, should we be shopping? Should we be asking for?
Actually, Bart, that's where we want to come back to the employees. Actually, the employees pay their own insurance. So they have an employee committee that sends out these bids or asks for bids. And apparently they went to Beth or they...
No, I wasn't asked to get bids. I just brought the offer of early renewal
Okay,
to avoid the higher rates in May,
okay.
which
Lori,
I didn't even have to bring forth, but
Right,
Yeah,
I want to save the
was
city
you at
money,
this
too.
meeting?
thank you.
I don't know who on the...
I think Nikki was.
Nikki?
I think Nikki was.
Is Nikki there?
She's running away very quickly.
Tell us about how you, with the committee, went about securing these bids.
Sharon took care of that. Sharon just brought the bids to the insurance committee, which was Beth and United Healthcare. In United Healthcare, we had to look at employees who have family on the plan, employees that just have themselves and child. It was a significant savings for them. We're talking $300-400 a month savings for an employee plus their family. So the deductibles were the same.
And
It was
this
just
was
the
a
cost.
recommendation of the employees committee.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So is that
It's,
we're following all our own rules by making this motion? That's all I'm checking in on.
Bids were requested, though. I didn't get, the offer bids. I wasn't told to get bids. Because this was an offer of renewal, it was not a bid.
When's it up for renewal?
May.
So would it fall underneath the same, this isn't the time to get bids?
No.
well,
You know what I
if
mean?
we don't get something else, we go with the 4.3%.
That's what I'm saying, it would be the
If
same
we
thing.
wait,
It's an increase anyway.
right.
But it avoids the 35 to 50% that you would get in May.
It's
So
a significant
we are
amount of
offering
money
an early renewal
Yeah,
for these
to avoid
employees.
that. And it's, that's our.
A significant amount of money for these employees.
Are we under contract with them?
Yeah.
We are.
Yes.
We're just trying to
don't
offer an
think-
early renewal to avoid the mandates that
All we
you
need is a
have to
motion
have
to
under the
do it.
Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, and that's,
I just think on
And it's something I didn't even have to offer, but
we appreciate it, Beth, and Beth has been very good to us.
How fast could you turn this into a bid situation?
well, to get, rates that are binding, you have to have employees fill out applications.
To get bids. So there's no real way logistically to do that before the threshold of losing this offer for the 4.3% instead of up to 50% increase. That's not a, in other words, we could authorize that this bidding process happen and that we accept the lowest bid, you know, out of this. We could make a motion, we could form a motion that would allow us to move forward in this time frame. Or we could meet again if that were necessary. I don't think it is, but I don't even know if it's possible to comply with the bidding process in the time frame that's required. So I guess that's my question. Is it possible to get that information that you need to have a competitive bidding process?
I mean, if you had applications filled out within the next day or two.
It won't happen that quick.
But like I said, I can offer any company that anyone else does, but I wasn't told to shop. I met with Bob and Sharon and told them what this was an offer of early renewal. I wasn't told to get bids.
I think the reason they
And if you're
did it,
changing carriers, you know, that's.
because of
a
the
bit
employees themselves. Tim, you have something to say?
I had a question just for confusion, sake, hopefully I won't add to it. We're locked in until May anyway, right now, with the insurance we got. So the early offer for an early renewal is just an offer that they presented. The United Healthcare, was that offer of that savings supposed to take place in May when the current one expires, or to switch out in mid-contract?
December 1st.
Is that when the contract is, December 1st?
No, it's May to May currently.
The reason I ask, I mean, you're already locked in, and if you
Is this-
and you're locked in
So
for certain-
you're suggesting that moving to a different carrier to do this early would duplicate the insurance?
I think that would be a question for Sharon to answer.
Well, that's a pretty big question.
From what I understand, if we went with United Healthcare, our contract would be December 1st to December 1st.
But
That's
would we,
what she informed us in the committee.
would you still be paying for your current one through May?
She did not mention that.
Do you want to?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to?
No, I don't want to, of course.
Then we better find that out.
Right, absolutely.
I think we need to really table this until we get some.
I don't see that we have a choice. We don't have enough
So
information.
we don't cut our nose off to spite the face.
At least a week ahead.
I have one more. A couple years ago, the committee voted to go with the self-funded plan. And I strongly advised against it, and we avoided a financial disaster. So at that time, it was voted that the employees did not get the decision to make that decision, if you go back to
That's
the
correct.
minutes.
That is correct.
The council will make a final
Yeah.
decision, but the employees committee that works on this committee make their recommendations because they pay for it. The city does not pay for it. So that's why we've always listened to their recommendations. Because they,
One more thing on this. Tim, I just wanted to say thank you for directing that. That was helpful.
okay.
So we have a motion and a second.
Withdraw that if we're going to.
Who had the
wait.
second?
I think Jim
Jim,
said.
You want to withdraw it?
Yes.
I'll withdraw the motion. We can bring it back up later when we have more information.
Yeah, they need to be talking to the finance committee so the committee can look it over prior to bringing it to us, so it's expense. Okay, go ahead.
That's all we have, Tom.
What? No. Flip that page. We got a whole bunch more.
Oh, okay.
We're not gonna get out of
Okay.
here till tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Mr. Niebner stated that SRF funds for operation and maintenance can be changed and amended by us with the approval of DNR.
And if I can just make a correction right there, it's not with the approval, it's possibly requiring notification of DNR. We don't need their, we did not believe we needed their approval.
We have to
Okay.
notify.
Okay. We will need to have at least 110% of real amount of debt service. Do you want to make that into a motion?
I'll make a motion that we, first off, that we accept the annual audit for the year ending May 31st, 2013, provided by Wade Stables, under the cover letter dated September 3rd, 2013.
I'll second.
Motion made and second, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Needner?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
I'd make a motion that we move our internal control reporting to be a balance sheet by fund as outlined and recommended by the audit.
I second.
Second by Chuck, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Needner?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
I make a motion that we specifically require authorization of interfund transfers in the budget as recommended by the audit.
Second.
Transfers 10.
It's transfers in, that's a typo in these minutes, but we're not really approving minutes right now. So my motion is to, is that we require authorization of interfund transfers that are represented in the budget as recommended by the audit.
Motion made, we have a
I
second.
second.
Second by Sonny, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Needner?
Yes?
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And make a motion that we request the administration develop a list of all equipment costing more than $7,500, including the replacement cost, anticipated lifespan, last purchase date. This is for the purpose of developing a budgeting process for replacement of this equipment.
Motion made, do I have a
I
second?
second it.
Second by Mr. Hoffman, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Needner?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And make a motion, and this is my last one for finance, aren't you pleased? And make a motion to request a draft by the administration that proposes a set of fees or charges to reflect an appropriate consideration back to general fund for expenses and considerations being made by the city towards water and sewer activities.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second by Mr. Hoffman, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Needner?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
A work study has been set tentatively for December the 4th at 5 p.m. for the mid-year budget review, and we adjourned our meeting.
Okay, thank you, Sonny. Fire committee.
I indicated that public officials have been advised by the city's insurance company's legal counsel not to discuss details of the Miller fire until formal reports from the insurance company and fire marshal are completed, and we had no other significant business during our meeting. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Police,
Okay, we approved the minutes of our October 7th meeting. Stated that we're still one police officer short. Hopefully we'll have a new hiree in the very near future. During this time of short officer, Chief Hughes has been covering the shifts needed. Mr. Jenny stated that possibly when a new officer is hired, we look at a contract for 1 year when we make the hire. Chief Hughes was acceptable with that and said he would meet with Mr. Rapp to draft the contract. That's all we have, Tom.
okay, thank you, Sonny. Streets and alley.
The minutes were read and approved the October 7th meeting. Mr. Jenny stated it'd be $3,100 to fix the dip in the street by Dollar General. That came out real good. And Mr. Needner inquired with the city attorney about the liability on public right-of-way that is maintained by the property owner. Mr. Rapp said he did not believe the city would have any liability. And I guess that's as far as it's gone. That's all I have.
Okay. I would like to say that the streets that have been done look good.
They do.
They've been done, right. Okay, thank you, Jimmy. Buildings and grounds, Larry.
I'd like to have a motion to have the November 4th minutes approved.
You do that during your next,
We already did that.
We don't approve the 4th.
you do that during your next committee meeting.
Okay. All right, the dugouts have not been completed at this time. Mr. Jenny said we're waiting on Mr. Van Fleet to lay the bricks. It was stated that the general concession is that the fencing is preferred due to airflow. I think Mr. Jenny's going to check on that. The trees at Wallace Park have been removed and cleaned up. The cemetery walls, they're done now, isn't that right, Bob?
I don't know, I didn't get a chance to get up there today.
I think
They had that one section to do, and I think they got that done, but if you haven't been up there, you need to go up and look.
Really looks nice.
Good.
Mr. Adams stated that there are many rental inspections that need to be done, and he's behind. There are no penalties in the ordinance if an inspection is not done. He would like to see the ordinance amended to include citations if an inspection is not done on time. The bids to clean up Mr. Burschel's property are due by November the 6th.
While we're there, do we have those?
Get anything.
Never got any bid.
No bid.
I had 2 inquiries and showed the property one time, properties, so no bids.
Do we want to talk about that now, or?
Well, you're in buildings and grounds report, he can finish his report and then before he gets out of buildings and grounds, bring it back to talk about the Bursch property.
Mr. Jenny received approval from FEMA and the Corps of Engineers to leave the slabs of concrete in the branch on the south side of Tennessee. FEMA had to be reimbursed $1,769, and the city will receive a check from the state for approximately $2,200. That's all I have.
Okay, now go back with Mr. Needner's question.
Okay, on the bids?
But yeah, the question is, I mean, if we didn't, we're in a position to take care of these properties. We put it out to bid because at Ken's recommendation that that's the way he wanted to proceed. We didn't get any bids back. The properties still need to be cleaned up. That's not the end of the issue, right? We still need to get that done.
No, it's not.
So how are we going to do that?
City.
So what does that mean? What do you need? How can we help?
We can contact some other demolition outfits, and Kent had a couple other leads too.
I can recontact people and see if we work something out. I just kind of wait to hear from you and what you all decide.
Well, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's not optional. I mean, this needs to be done.
I agree, it has to be done.
Can't the city tear it down, or clean that mess up, and just tax them, add it on their tax bill?
Even if it's through a bid, that it will produce a lien against their
If we can't
taxes.
have
I
anybody else
understand.
do it, we're not gonna just let it sit there.
We can't, but I don't know that we can do it. I mean, our people have a job, right?
I think we can do
Yes, sir,
dumpsters
you
or
can
something
do
of
that.
that nature.
Do what?
City can clean it up itself.
Yes, absolutely. And we could do that ourselves, or we could do it by hiring someone.
It would be nice to have a contractor come in and do it.
Well, my understanding was that was a matter of manpower, I mean,
In
are
our
we able to go do it?
We ain't got the manpower.
Right, it's not like we have
How
a,
much time is involved in this, you think?
just give it to us in decades.
Four people, I would say 4 people, 40 hours a week, probably a month.
Big job.
3 weeks, wow, it's, 2 of them are not bad, and one of the,
If you gotta roll off and just throw that stuff in, that's
one of them is huge, all the loose stuff. One piece of property has a lot of big material, a mobile home, a 5th-wheel trailer.
I just wanted an estimate.
You got boats and cars.
Well, to stay on this thing, maybe what we could do is get some information. We don't have bids, so I think the administration needs to come to us with what's our next step, right? What can we do? How can we help? And let's try to get that approved at our next meeting.
Good.
I'll recontact all the people, we'll work something out, but.
Or even contact Skirvin and just have him load it up and haul it.
You're talking about 160 ounces.
And then I do have one more thing for buildings and grounds. It's his report at your meeting. I wanted to mention that Bob had a good idea that maybe accidentally went awry, in as much as it is a good idea when we're doing these, when we get in fall and we have all these leaves and debris that need to go up to Star Hill. On this end of town, taking them all the way back over to the city shed just to haul them back up to Star Hill is maybe not the most efficient way to move that material around. I don't know if it could just go straight to Star Hill, but I'm assuming that that's not an option because otherwise it probably would have been done. So what happened was it all went to Lincoln Park and got dumped there. And that created obviously an irritation to the community that has been proud of and taken care of Lincoln Park.
They dump leaves in Lincoln Park.
And it's not just, it's not like when you rake your yard, you know, this is a sweeper that it picks up other debris and stuff.
What they do on that is they did dump at the wood line at Lincoln Park. They had the sweeper up there. What they do then is they, instead of the sweeper going all the way back down to the shed and dump and then come back out again, they send a truck out there and they pick up that leaves and stuff at Lincoln Park.
So to hopefully not make this about a fight or anybody's mad or somebody made a bad decision, it's a good decision to want to, let's focus on that. It's a good decision to want to do this in a more logistically smart way. It sounds to me like what we need is a designated area for this kind of activity on this side of town, and that needs to not come at the expense of this side of that community's park. And so what can we do to get the administration that resource, right? What are our options? And I don't know, but I would like to build consensus that what we'd like to do is find a staging area that is appropriate because it's a great idea logistically to do it. We just need to be careful about people like their parks.
I think it's cleaned up now, isn't it, Sally? Yes, we went up there this morning and it looked like it was cleaned up.
It is.
It is.
I didn't go up there today, but I know Sunday was still about a couple piles still up there.
Yeah.
They've made it this afternoon and cleaned it up.
They cleaned it up.
Yeah, it was cleaned this morning, pretty clean.
Yeah.
So I don't know, do you have a recommendation other than Lincoln Park that maybe we could pursue, or is there whose property is on that forested edge? Is there some sort of a visual barrier we could put there but still access?
Yes. Well, no, you know, if you really want to get down to it, where Sally was talking about, that's in the edge of the park area.
Yeah.
Now, if you really want to have a good place where you can dump it, where the road goes up there on this side belongs to the city, and you could dump it there and then pick it up because it's not part of the park.
So if we're gonna do that, let's do it in a way that is not, that has a visual screen or something that's not gonna be unsightly. But that's important, otherwise you're just taken away from being in the park. So I wanna do it in a community-sensitive way, and we need to work towards that. I believe that's our job.
I think you're right.
Carl Henderson bought Carl Lewis' place over on Maryland Street.
Mm-hmm.
None of that stuff could be dumped over there. I mean, if you ask him, get it cleared to him, and then
No,
he'll
you're
push it
still
off.
you're doing exactly what Bart said, you're
You
still
just
having.
doing it somewhere else.
You're just dumping an unsightly site somewhere else.
No, if he's got a dozer down there, you can clear it off.
Are you gonna push leaves?
Well, yeah. The
How
ridge is
how
gonna
long,
blow
how long,
off.
I guess what
how long were we talking about letting it sit there? I mean, it's just,
it's not a long time.
no, a couple of days, week.
The easiest way to handle this situation, because you're always gonna have people that gripe wherever you put it. And it's gonna take more time, a little more money, but when the sweepers ran, you pick up all this stuff, bring it back to the shed, dump it, and be done with it. That way you don't have to fool with the QIP public. Just bring it back to the city, put it there, take it to Star Hill.
I agree, but that the idea to have a staging area on that end of town is a reasonable and good idea. So if the administration comes upon an opportunity or suggestion that we can do that, not at the expense of a park, I think that the administration would find a receptive council, from what I'm seeing on everyone's face, to trying to work towards that goal. So we'll just leave it there.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
That's all I have.
Okay. Water.
Well, we're moving forward on phase two, that ENR grant on the water tank out there. I guess you need more on that, Bob, or you?
It's due November 20th.
And the wastewater plant had a test run, but that's obsolete now because I understand they started it today, so. And East Deep Tank is being postponed until spring because of people, the sophisticated the people who need to do that. And that's all I got.
Okay. Grants.
I guess I'm second on the list on that one. And the grants committee met and the minutes were approved. And Mr. Jenny stated that the money had been received for the scrap tire grant. And that was it.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance committee.
Okay, the ordinance committee met and the minutes were approved. There was a discussion on the ordinance to enact failure to maintain safe trees of the municipal code of the city of Louisiana, county of Pike, and it was determined that there was not enough information to proceed with that one at this point until we have a work study. Okay, there was a discussion on an ordinance to amend section 110.050, time of regular and adjourned meetings, and that was withdrawn. So that leaves us with one last one. There was a discussion on the ordinance to amend section 605.130 of the City of Louisiana, Missouri, to amend an ordinance setting intersection solicitation guidelines, section B.
I move that we accept this ordinance.
Okay, second? Please.
I'll second approval of that
Okay,
bill.
motion made and second, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Needner?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes,
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Okay, that was the first reading.
Yes.
This will be the second reading. An ordinance to amend section 605.130 of the City of Louisiana, Missouri, to amend an ordinance setting intersection solicitation guidelines, section 8.
Make a motion, we accept that bill.
Motion made, second, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Niedner?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yeah.
I did not see you seconded that.
Seconded.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. Report of special committees, I don't have a special committee. City Administrator, do you have anything? Human Relations is not here. Board of Adjustment, we have no chairperson at the time. Economic Development Report.
You have my report. If you
Okay.
have any questions?
Any questions for our Economic Director? Okay. I have a letter, or agreement with the Mercantile Bank that has to be signed every year, where if there's a disaster that they can use their law. I'll entertain a
I make a
motion.
motion that we allow the bank to use City Hall in an emergency.
Okay, motion was made, second, call the roll.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Niedner?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes. Okay. No resolutions, new business. Being none, media clarification. I'll entertain
I
a
make a
motion.
motion, we adjourn.
A second.
Second. Call the roll.
Mr. Elliott? Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Niedner?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.